Greetings, and a bit of a different video today because I'm still working on the Enterprise, but it's just been postponed a little bit. Basically, what's happened is that as I was painting the Enterprise, I realised that I was running low on paint thinner and I'd forgotten to order some. So I have like a tiny amount of paint thinner left. So whilst I'm waiting for the paint thinner to arrive, I decided that I'm going to work on a different project in between. So with that, I'm going to be building a Blade Runner Metrokab. And I'm not sure what to call this. It's sort of a scratch build, but it's a 3D print. I don't know what the term for it is. It doesn't exist as a kit. I didn't download the files. I made it all myself. So technically, it's a scratch build. So I can only let's call it a 3D print scratch build. I guess. Yeah, but I want to get this all done today. So because hopefully the thinner will arrive tomorrow, and I can crack back on with the Enterprise. But for right now, let's just do this and get it done. So yeah, I'm not sure what to call it. It's a 3D print scratch build is how I would put it. You could build this using styrene and a knife, or you could do it with I could laser cut the parts, or but yeah, it's I've made the components myself in Blender and printed them out, and I'm going to be putting it together. So let me show you what I've done so far. So here we are in Blender, and this is the Matrokab that I've done, and I've broken it down. I basically started off with a chassis and built up from there. Now this is 1/24th scale, so it should fit with the other Fujimi kits, which is what I wanted. But yeah, basically, if I it's on here, there you go. Now for the window there, I think I'm just going to use some PETG and just fold it and bend it, and same for all the other glass pieces on this model. But yeah, printed these out. Some of these were done in PLA, some of these were done in resin. So yeah, difficult to get resource material on this for reference, as there's not a lot out there, but it's given me a little bit of wiggle room. And what I found is that there were 4 Metrokabs built for the film, and they're all different. There's not really any one Metrokab that's the same, so that gives me a little bit of leeway there as well. So yeah, that's that. Let's crack on with what we got. So here are all the printed parts ready for assembly. I think the first thing I'm going to focus on here is going to be the cockpit. I think that's the first thing that needs to be done, and then move on to these here. I think maybe actually the chassis might be the first thing. There's not a lot on the chassis that's going to require sort of sanding, because it's only really the top side that's visible. So maybe I'm going to give this one a sand and a primer, and we start from there, I think. Let's crack on. Okay, so the first thing I've got to do is get things in order to know exactly what it is that I'm going to be doing first. And I think the cockpit is the first thing. So I've given this a coat of primer and then a coat of black. There's only going to be a simple lighting scheme here. It's just going to be a single LED in there, and then I'm going to stick a new screen over the top there to act as the glass, and then maybe put a decal over it. The chair is just going to be painted and put in. It's a pretty simple cockpit, it looks quite nice, but it's just a pretty simple cockpit. This is the outside of the cab. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to sand this first now, and then I'm going to hit it with some filler as well, just to take some of this ribbon out of it. and just smooth it off a little bit. And I need to do that now because it's going to take time for the filler to set and degas and harden properly. So I think this is the first job. Get this filled and sanded and filled, and then we can move on. So I'm going to put some filler on now, and what I'm using as an applicator is a scrap piece of brass. And the reason for it is that I want to put it on and have a really sharp edge. So I'm just going to squeeze a bit of filler on here, and hopefully when I do this, it should be really sharp and fine. And only fill in where it needs to. At least that's the idea. While that's drying, I've got the capture for the headlight here, so I'm gonna give this a quick sand. And then I'm just going to glue it inside now, I think. I think now is as good a time as any. Yep, that's good. Hopefully you can see that. That was a bit hairy then, I'm not going to lie. So I'm just going to paint up the cockpit seat, and I'm not doing anything special with this. I'm going to use a fairly light brown, and I'm going to hand paint this, not airbrush it. But I've just got it made it with some really thin paint, so it's going to take a couple of coats. And yeah, it's going to have some weather into it as well. But what I want to do is I want to get this on now, and I think what I'm going to do is to give it that sort of reddish leathery look, I'm going to just give it like a real sort of wash of red and then weather it from there. So it should make it a little bit warmer in colour. But yeah, it's really thin paint, so I can still see the sort of grey through it. You might not be able to see it on camera, but I can see sort of the undercoat still primer through the paint, which is good because it means that it'll hopefully eliminate brush marks by being nice and thin. Okay, I'm starting off by giving this console a coat of gunmetal. And I'm just going to base this in gunmetal. That'll be okay. Let's get some in there. I'm not worried about getting it all in the corners because I think the black underneath makes it pop a little bit. What do you think? But now I'm working on the console here. I'm just going to do a little bit of detail painting with some metallics just to do some highlighting on little parts here and there. I seriously doubt this will even be seen. So I've got most of the console painted. This is a couple of finishing touches to do. So whilst I'm working on that, I'm also starting to put this together, and I've started gluing the front on, and I've glued this seat in, and yeah, and the cab. So I'm just going to go around now and carry on adding the bumpers to it, and go from there. So I've painted up the chair there, and I've given it a coat of varnish just to give it that sort of faux plasticky, leathery type of look. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some weather into it. So what I figured is that I'm going to be using a little bit of orange, and I'm going to be using some smoke as well. So what I'm going to do is just dry brush some of the edges with the orange, just to make it look like that little bit of sort of wear and tear, whereby some of the paint and some of the textures rubbed off. So that's what I'm going to do with the orange, and then the smoke. Then I'm going to attack like little areas where dirt's going to build up and so forth. So like the headrest there should be a little bit dirty, whereby the back of the head has been rubbing it, and things like that. So yeah, that's the next goal now, is to paint up this chair, and then I can mask it off, and then we can crack on. So I've masked off the chair, and I've got all the plant-ons on all the way around, and given it a coat of primer again. Now I've test fitted the cab, and it fits perfectly, which makes me happy no end. I'm going to be adding a little light to as a like a driver's light inside. So, but that'll run the wires down the back into the cab there, and it'll be concealed by the seats. I've got some work to do on this, on the front cab, and my idea is, because I hadn't worked out how I was going to put the PETG in, the clear glass. What I've decided is that I'm going to glue a strip of styrene in like this to produce this lip, and I'm going to do it all the way around so that there's something there for the PETG to adhere to, not just the edge. And what I'm going to do is I'll put the PETG in blobs in places with some UV resin, and I will cook it in place and use the UV light to get it to adhere to the surface. I'm hoping that'll work. I don't know. I've got a feeling it will, but I'm not too worried about the edge of it, because the edge of the PETG is going to be, I'm going to hit it with a Sharpie and just to produce that black line that goes around the glass. So I might mask it so that the resin doesn't overspill, but I will at least have that black line running around the glass that'll hopefully mask it from that. On the inside here, you can see whereby I've got these pieces in place, and these are for the doors. Now the doors are curved, and that's what these have, this curve baked into them, so that it's something for the PETG to line up to. I'm gonna have to put bars down the side, because when I put the seat in, there's a gap going to occur here and here, and it's on the studio miniature, but it just means that I've just got to put a bar down there. And I said studio miniature, I meant prop. Okay, but yeah, it's got a bar down there just to make up the space. So yes, I've just checked now, and yeah, that appears to be on solid. So I'm very happy with that result because it's nice and clear. You can see a little bit of the resin where it's been squeezed, but it's honestly is minuscule. It's like that's one of the best results I've ever had when trying to glue clear. So I think what I'm going to do is for the SMD that's going to go inside there, I was going to hot melt glue it, but I think I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to run the wire down the back there, and I'll just put some resin. I'll put some resin in the back here, so I'll put that inside, so I can inside this console, and just put a piece of, or put a drop of resin in the back there, and that should fix the SMD in place. Yeah, that looks okay. So I'm going to go over all this now, give it a coat. I might have made it a bit thicker, but yeah, I'm going to give this a coat over it, and let's get on with it. So I've got the wheels on, and it's looking all very yellow. Now, as I was starting to do some of the wiring for this, I realised my mistake. I've made this wrong, and I should have thought about it beforehand. What I should have done is this. I should have printed the upper half as one piece. And what this has done is it's meant that I've got to divide the wiring for the roof now. Pre-wire it, put the roof on, which means I've got to find some way to tidy up the wires after the roof is on. Whereas if I had done it like this, I could have done all the wiring in one half, run the wires down, and then just connect them together afterwards. So, and there's less post-processing work with this as well. It's a lot cleaner. There's no excess joins. There's a bit of a join there that needs to be cleaned up, but really, this is a lot stronger. Yeah, I should have. So on me, that's totally. I should have thought about it. There's better ways of doing things, and yeah. But I'm just gonna get this one done as is, and hopefully it'll look okay. I'm not expecting anything magnificent. It's only a quick build, so let's just get it done and finished. So I'm working on the top light here for the Metrokab, and what I've actually got in here is I have filled the light with cotton wool to act as a diffuser, and then under that I've put in a very thin piece of styrene that I covered with a stain of transparent yellow, and that's just to break up the light and take it away from being that pure white to a more off-white. And then in here we've got some dual density SMDs, which just happen to fit perfectly for the bar. So I've fed that down through the roof, and getting ready to glue it into place. But yeah, once this is in and the cotton wool is fit snugly into place, I can just spread it out. It doesn't have to be perfectly even. I'll put that lid then on top, and then hopefully, I think that's going to look okay, particularly with the decal that I'm making to go on there as well. So that should work really well. It looks pretty cool as it is. So I'm going to finish off the headlight here, and what I've done is I've 3D printed this headlight capture, the socket, and it's going to have the LED in there. But to make the actual headlamp itself, what I've got is a little piece of, this is an insert that goes inside drawers, cutlery drawers. Here's a larger piece of it, so you can see it. It's basically just a lining for a cutlery drawer. So it's this clear rubber diamond etch sheet, and you can buy it in large sheets, and it's really good for light diffusion and diamond etching. So I'm just going to stick that over there, and then I'm going to glue that to the inside of there, and that'll be the headlight. So I'm making the window for the front driver's cab, and what I've got here is a piece of masking tape that I put around the area for the window, and cut it to shape so that I could create a template that then I stuck over some PETG and cut it out and bent it to shape, and now it should just pop in to place like so. It's not perfect, but it is the only sort of solution I have for creating a clear canopy for this area. Okay, the curved doors are stuck in, and I used just resin to glue it in, UV resin. I fed the wires for the roof down behind the chair. It's come at the bottom here, and I've stuck the seat in as well. I had to trim this seat down because I hadn't accounted for the protrusions that hold the door. So basically I just took a saw and just cut the end off. So I sort of cut like this much off. But there we are, it's in, it's stuck down, and now I'm going to glue the roof on. Okay, so I've just printed off the decals that I've made for this, and I've given them a couple of coats of clear, and they are just set in. And once this is dry, I'm going to cut them out, stick them on, seal the model, and then give it a coat of weathering, and then this will be done. I'm just painting this with smoke, so I'm just trying to oversaturate it a little bit right now, just so I can put some blobs on to make it a bit weathering, a bit less natural, a bit more random, I mean. So yeah, Metrokab's done. Quick build. Um, it needs refining. I wouldn't do it again like that. Um, but you know what? It was a really quick and easy build, and I can't complain. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Obviously, the Blade Runner street scene that you saw there at the end as well, that's an ongoing project. Um, but yeah, if I had to do the Metrocab again, there are things I definitely would change. So um, yeah. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Next, now it's back to working on the Enterprise. So see you soon.